Howdy, everybody. Um, this is a weird one, I guess. Mainly, I wanted to go live because I don't know. I had thoughts running through my head, and um, I could have made a video of this and then posted that video. But I thought, if there is anyone out there in YouTube land that um, wants to discuss this with me or what have you, great. If not, then basically this will be a video that I kind of upload. So, hey. Um, so yeah. So I just watched. Oh, before I do that, I just want to remind you that your anus is full of gas. So true. True words have never been spoken. Yeah, it's basically kind of the mindset I'm in right now. Um, so I just watched. Well, maybe a couple 3 hours ago. I watched a stream by a friend of mine, Matt from I Can Science That. If you are not a subscriber to his channel, please go over there and find him and subscribe. I think he's like 9 subs away from 1,000. So so yeah, definitely go sub to him. Anyway, so I Can Science was talking with a gentleman going by the handle of uh, Troubling Tribune, I think. I can't see it. Hey, Norm. How am I feeling? I'm actually kind of not great. Not great. Um, Basically, I've been feeling very meanish of late. I don't really know why. I just a lot of just anger. Really, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's kind of why I'm doing this. Just to, I don't know. See if that helps or whatever. But anyway, maybe this is oversharing, but I think the anger might be coming from a place of impotence. I'm ill. It might be COVID. I haven't gotten the tests yet, and I haven't been able to get to the observatory. So because of isolating, I wasn't able to help with the public tours that were going on today. I don't know, and I'm questioning the effectiveness of my YouTube channel. I'm all over the place, really. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about. I hope you're doing. How are you? I hope you are doing well. Um, so, yeah. So what was I talking about? I was talking about the fact that I was a few hours ago. I was watching this stream between a conversation between I Can Science That and Troubling Tribune, I believe, who refers to himself as both a flat earther or and this is the one that I thought was interesting. It was new to me in that he refers to himself, or at least his community, as true earthers. And what he means by that, what he defined that was, um, and I hope and this is again all my understanding. I don't wish to put words in the gentleman's mouth. I don't wish to misrepresent him, but this is my interpretation. But anyway, so true earthers apparently are anyone who disputes the mainstream narrative. So what you've got are classical flat earthers, you've got electric universe flat earthers, you've got um, hollow earthers, you've got concave earthers, things of that nature. Apparently, they all want to seek truth, um, and that struck me. That has struck me because it's kind of been the undercurrent of my experience with flat Earth for the last few years. Is that, and it really has been hit home by another YouTuber, another content creator, Rachie50, in that she's questioning things, and I've asked her occasionally, um, why are you asking these things? And she has said she is a seeker of truth. She wants to know what objective reality is, or at least, again, this is my understanding. I don't want to, again, put words in her mouth, and she's feel free to correct me at any time. But my impression is that she is looking for the truth. She is looking for what is it that we live in? What is it that we live? What is the universe? How does it work? All that kind of good stuff. Um, And I applaud her for that. I think that's fantastic. Um, and I think that, and at one point, if we're talking about gravity, probably gravity, so usually always gravity, whether it's a force, whether it's bendy space time or what have you. And it got to me, it got to a point that I was like, I don't think, Rachel, I don't think your questions can really be answered by science. I think she wants to know something that science just by its own nature cannot answer. Um, but again, I don't know. This is basically what I'm getting from uh, conversations through text. Also, during that stream between Science and Tribune, there were some folks in the chat who were like, who were saying similar things of, they're looking for truth and all that. And what I found to be very peculiar, or not peculiar, but novel, is one of them flat out stated that you cannot do science without the acknowledgement of the supernatural. And that runs so counter to what science actually is, how science is actually done, that I was amazed that someone professed that. And maybe this is a case of someone saying the quiet part out loud. I don't know. But as anyone who follows this channel knows, I am a man of faith, and I am also a scientist. Lately, I am doing more science communication than I am doing science, but I still consider myself a scientist, and I still consider how I approach life through that lens. And I've also talked about the fact that a few different times, that the way that I some might say, how can you do that? How can you both be a man of faith and a man of science? Doesn't one contradict the other? And my answer to that is no, because I do not let one inform the other. As I'm again constantly like to say, if I am going to, if I want to know, physically speaking, to the best of our description and understanding, how the universe comes into being, how the universe came into being, how it evolved, how it will ultimately end, I go to this, which is Introduction to Cosmology, or a book very much similar to this by Barbara Ryden. Those of you who are interested in a mathematical analysis of cosmology, this is a very thin book, but it is chock full of good stuff. This is a definite, I would say it's at a level of upper division undergraduate, lower division maybe grad, but it is concise, as you can see. It is a wonderful text describing the nitty gritty of how of cosmology and its functions. Now, if I want to know how best to treat people, if I want to know how best to how best to treat people, how best to love others, love myself, that sort of thing. Funny enough, that isn't in here. That I'll go to the index. No, love's not here. It's not this book. I go to this book, my Catholic Bible. I will state unequivocally, I am not a Catholic. I was. I am not anymore, because I think the church's practices are abhorrent. I believe that I cannot condemn the Catholic Church any more fiercely than there is no. I cannot condemn them more vehemently. I think the church has been corrupted, or is corrupt, and what they have done to folks is inexcusable. Um, and the fact that they're not even trying to atone for those sins. Okay, anyway, I'm not a Catholic, but I do love this Bible. One, because it's got my name on it, and two, because it's a great resource. It's got great index. It's got maps. It's wonderful. If I want to know how best to live my life, or if I want to seek truths about why is it that I should love my neighbor? Why is it that I should be charitable? Things of that nature. I don't go to a science book. I go to this. That is not to say that you cannot have morals without going to the Bible. I want to also put that straight out. I do not believe that you have to be a person of faith in order to have moral, to be a moral person, to have morals, to act in a moral way. Not saying that at all. How those folks navigate these waters, I don't know. That's their business. If it works for them, it works for them. But for me, I'm a Christian. I go to the Bible if I want to look for that sort of thing. Now, I want to read to you something, if you'll indulge me. Norm, I think I'm really just asking you specifically. So one of my favorite theologians is a gentleman by the name of Hans Küng, who I think is Catholic. He has not left the church, but I don't think he's very happy about it, to be honest. Given the context of his writings, I don't think he's very happy about what the church is doing, particularly in terms of its theology that it's seeming to double down on. Anyway, he wrote a book called "The Beginning of All Things: Science and Religion," and he addresses that concept, or that question of why are science or how do we reconcile science and religion? Because it does seem that if you take, particularly if you're a Bible literalist, which I am not, the Bible straight out contradicts what science tells us, and vice versa. So how is it that we can reconcile these two things? For me, and I'll expand on that more after I read this, it's really a case of they're both seeking truth. They're both seeking truth, but they're doing so in separate ways, completely separate ways. And really, one should not entertain the other one. Hey, Phil, Professor Phil Bell is in the house. How you doing? As I was telling Norm, I'm not great. Been feeling very meanish of late, and my patience has gone pretty much completely south, and I don't like it. It's not who I am, and I don't know. I'm suffering some kind of chest cold thing, and anyway. All right, so I'm bitching. I don't want to bitch. I've just been going on a random tangent of truth and faith and science, and I'm hoping to put myself basically into a better frame of mind in rambling about this sort of thing. But anyway, so, and I'm asking so much patience because I'm going to read part of an essay by Hans Küng, again, one of my favorite theologians, talking about science and religion. So it says, the title of this essay is "Science Must Leave God Out of Account." Those who believe in God should also understand that if modern science wants to proceed in an unobjectionable way, necessarily it should have left and has to leave God out of account. The statements of physicists all relate to the physical sphere, time and energy, to natural laws formulated in the language of mathematics, questions of reciprocal effects that, as some think, lie outside this sphere, or more precisely outside the possibilities of physical measurement, cannot be answered meaningfully by physicists. To this degree, the problem of the existence of God is not a question for physics. Scientists should reflect that subject and object, method and object are interwoven, and thus a distinction must be made between the phenomenon that can be grasped by science and reality as a whole. No method, however certain, no scheme, however adequate, no theory, however precise, may be made absolute. The perspectivity and variability of even mathematical scientific methods in particular require us to be constantly aware of their limits in respect of reality as a whole, which is always greater. Aren't there perhaps entities, events, and reciprocal effects in our universe that do not take place in the physical sphere, and that therefore a priori evade the possibility of scientific knowledge? Thus, if science is to remain faithful to its method, it may not extend its judgment beyond the horizon of experience. Neither the stubbornness of a skeptical ignorance nor the arrogance of those who always know better befits it. In some circumstances, can't musicians, poets, artists, and religious people have an inkling of, glimpse, hear, see, and express in their works realities that burst the physical space, the space of energy and time? Can, for example, Mozart's music, which is beyond a doubt a phenomenon of physics, be grasped solely with physics? May the physicist, qua physicist, want to pass a final judgment on the Jupiter Symphony? This applies even more to the question of an absolute beginning, an origin which Kant called a final ground of everything, a possible comprehensive first and very last reality that human beings designate with the name God, though this is constantly misused, and that may not be observed, analyzed, and therefore manipulated. But the question arises in return with reference to reality as a whole and to human beings in particular. May the question of first and last meanings and criteria, values, and norms, and thus a first and last reality, be rejected a priori. In principle, openness towards the whole of reality is to be required of human beings, whether scientists, philosophers, or theologians. And even the theories of science today acknowledge, beyond the sphere of scientific knowledge, and even the theorists of science today acknowledge, beyond the sphere of scientific knowledge, the more comprehensive meta-empirical question of what Wittgenstein called, quote unquote, problems of life, Popper, quote unquote, cosmology, and T.S. Kuhn, quote unquote, the world. Thank you for that. Phil, Bill, I don't know if I know hundreds, but I do know a few who are open about their faith, and no, it does not cloud their judgment as scientists. The reason why I'm going through all this is because, again, it's this search for truth, and I think that if it is an honest search for truth, that is the most admirable. Well, maybe not the most admirable thing. It is an extremely admirable thing to do, and I think everyone should, if they wish to truly better themselves, I think everyone in one way or another should have that goal, is to look for truth in all things. And the point that I was reading from, going with that reading, is that, yes, I believe that the topic of objective truth came up in that stream. And I am a believer of objective truth. I am a believer that there is an objective reality, that there is a truth to be known. The problem is, I don't think human beings can know it, can ever know it. because of the fact that human beings are limited. Even human civilization is limited. Even if you get billions upon billions of humans together and somehow they manage to form a consensus on something, they are in fact, still limited. So I don't believe that science will ever get to the point. I don't believe religious thought will ever get to the point of knowing the absolute truth of things, the absolute reality. And that's okay. And actually, I think that's a wonderful thing, because the stupid cliche of it's not about the journey, it's about, or not about the destination, it's about the journey pops in my head. But really, the wonders involved in seeking the truth are in that seeking, in those aha moments, those moments that, when a bit of code that I write actually works for some, for instance, or first change, and I get a result that I can believe. I get a result with error bars that makes sense. When that happens, I'm like, it's one of the most powerful feelings I've ever had. The only thing comparable that I've ever experienced with that is when I've taught some things and I can literally see the light in the student's eyes pop in. That is that is my crack. I want that all the time. And when I don't get it, I get down on myself for it. Those types of things. Those are the moments that I do this for. That I go into that I do scientific inquiry for. That I do the teaching for. And commensurately with theology, when I have those moments of when I come to a certain realization that, for example, the Old Testament says a whole lot of stuff, and a lot of it is honestly a little fucked up. The whole part about killing people if they're gay, or basically sending a woman off out beyond the tribe when she's menstruating because she's unclean. There's a lot of fucked up shit there. And so for me, it was kind of a moment of peace when I read Christ's word, and he basically said that the whole point is to love folks, that I'm not here to change the law, but I want you to I want you to look at it. I want you to see whether or not that law actually goes to the actual commandment of love your neighbor as you would love yourself, and God, of course. So those moments of aha, those moments of discovery, that is what I think is, that is what I live for. That is what that really I strive for. And I think that others can find that as well. Now, bringing this back to truth, bringing this back to, that's what I was going to go with, is that it's now become mantra among the flat earth community that, there's a lot of mantras, but becomes a lot in the flat earth community. There's a lot of, globe science is a religion, which I find to be odd, or I find to be a very, very strange statement, from the fact that in almost every case, the person saying that is a strong believer in God. And so my thought is, if even that were true, even if science were a religion, which it's not, how is that an insult? How are you insulting anyone by saying that because you are religious? And don't get me started on the difference between spiritual and religious. I have very strong feelings about that. But regardless, where was I going with that? So they claim that globe science is religion, because you have to, folks have to take it on faith. I guess that's true. I have a different perspective on it because, I'm a scientist. I have done science. I've published and so forth. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, I trust me. I have friends who, colleagues who do this, who do science, who are active in science, are putting out papers every year. I know them. So trusting them is very, very easy for me because I know what they're doing. I've discussed what their work is with me. What their work is. I see that their methods are sound. They are all logically consistent. So it's very easy for me to trust. But I can see if you're a layperson, if you're not a scientist, then you do have to take it on faith that what I tell you in my lectures is true. The problem comes in, at least again, for me, it strikes me that with those who claim that globe science is a faith in a religion, is that somehow, oh, hi, Judy. Hi, Nimrod. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to not say hi to you guys. Thank you all for being here. I really, really appreciate it. It helps quite a bit. It strikes me that it strikes me that the flat earthers believe that scientists just basically sit around and just come up with shit. Oh, the Big Bang happened because reasons, or more nefariously, because I've seen a lot of, apparently TikTok is blowing up with this kind of stuff, is that we actually have nefarious purposes. We come up with TikTok to hide the existence of God. No, that's not true at all. As I've, again, said in many of my videos, cosmology specifically, this book doesn't say anything about God either way. It doesn't try to hide God. It doesn't endorse God. It basically just tells you what our best physical description of the beginning of time or beginning of reality is. And the most important part of cosmology, the most important part of the Big Bang Theory, other than the fact it's a horrible show, you should not watch it. The most important part is the point where we state prior to, I think it's t to the time equals 10 to the negative 47 seconds. Might be 43, I can't remember. Prior to that time, during the Planck time, we just have no idea what is happening or what has happened. We have educated guesses. We have alternative theories about what it is that came before. The one that I'm most familiar with, because there's an active research group at LSU where I used to work. It's called Loop Quantum Gravity. It's weird. I don't really understand it, but basically it says that there was some kind of universe prior to what we refer to as the Big Bang, but it was not like this. It was basically just some kind of primordial soup of subatomic particles, and there was enough gravity to make it collapse. It came down to an really tiny point, and then bounced, and then went back up again. There was no actual singularity. It's trying to solve the singularity problem, but now I'm really kind of rambling. But the point is that we're not trying to hide God. I think an honest scientist, God, nowhere, we don't care. That's not part of the equation. It's literally. So, sorry, mind fog is real, dude. All right, guys. I guess where I'm going with this, I guess where I want to go with this is that now I've completely lost it. Yeah, it gets the so it seems like there is this impression that scientists get around basically just they have reasons, either nefarious or otherwise, to come up with physical laws that you should accept that are not based on reality whatsoever. And that's just not true. They're like, let's take the example of the when I think about this sort of thing, I think about evolution. I think about evolutionary biology. Thank you. Thank you, Nimrod. I'm glad. I know folks that get irritated when religious folks bless them. Like, I can understand the rationale, but I try to take these sorts of things as, hey, they are blessing you because they love you. They may not. They may be, one of those that preaches hate speech or tries to control you. But I take it as a sign of love and leave it at that. So yeah, when when someone blesses someone else, I look at that as a sign of love rather than some kind of ulterior motive. But anyway, where was I going with this? Where am I going with this? I keep getting lost in tangents. So we come up with stuff, reasons. Evolutionary biology. So I'm not an evolutionary biologist. I'm not a biologist. I can safely say that the last biology course that I ever took wasn't even biology. It was physical science, or it was something like physical science or something like that in 9th grade. I have never taken a biology course since. I have taken a chemistry course in 10th grade, and I haven't taken a chemistry course since. There may be a problem with that, but whatever. I'm losing people. Anyway, that's not the point. My point is, I'm not an evolutionary biologist. So when a biologist comes to me and say, "Hey, listen, we all come from a common ancestor. We all come from basically this primordial ooze, and then the tree of life starts, and we get this plethora of existence that we see around us." Yes, I have to take it on faith that what they are telling me is the best description of evolution. That is the best description of how we know life has existed on this planet and has evolved. I take that on faith because, and the faith part of it is I have faith that they have done the due diligence, that they have done the experiments, they have made the observations that line up with previous observations and our previous understanding of physical laws. That is what I have faith in. I don't have faith in what they are saying, particularly in, they tell me we all have a common ancestor. That's not the faith part. The faith part is that they have done their due diligence and they are honest, and that is what they have come up with. And I think that if you don't have that faith, thanks, Judy. I really appreciate that. I think if you don't have that faith, if you cannot have that faith, then something is wrong. I honestly don't know how folks that have no faith in what people tell them, how they manage to get through life. This is not a judgment. This is an honest inquiry. If you don't have faith in the institutions around you, how can you do anything? How can you put money in a bank? How can you have a job? Because if you don't trust the corporation that you're working for, then I don't get it. And I would very much like to get it. Specifically, what I would like to get is, why is there no law? Why is there no faith in scientists? I get why there's no faith. I guess I can say I get why there's no faith in government. There's plenty of reasons why you shouldn't have faith in government. What really get into that at some point, but I want to know why people have lost faith with scientists. Then we go to, and the other thing, and I asked one of these folks in this chat, for those of you who just came on, I'm talking about I Can Science That, had his live stream with a flat earther known as Troubling Tribune, I believe. And in the side chat, I, thought the topic of faith came up, and I asked them, can you define faith for me? And they were like, what are you, lazy? Go look it up yourself. I'm like, I would, but I don't want the dictionary definition of it. I want your dictionary. I want your definition of it, which is like, aren't they, wouldn't they be the same? I'm like, no, from what I get from talking to certain folks, their understanding of faith and mine are way, way, way different. Nimrod, you're not a bad smell. We love having you around. And so for me, faith gets a bad rap, I think, in that sense, is that, when you say that I have lost faith in science, is because I guess, you have to believe in things that other people have done, and they are basically telling you how it is, because you are, for whatever reason, incapable of finding that out yourself. You don't have the resources for it. You don't have the time, or hell, you don't have the inclination for it. Like, for instance, I think I could become a biologist if I wanted to. I just don't want to. So I have to take it on faith what these biologists are telling me. The problem is, for me, I guess, and I apologize if this is rambling, and the reason why I don't think that that science, that globe science or what have you, is a faith, is because science is based on, hey, Reza, I was just thinking about you earlier. I know that you're probably going to go live soon, and I will, and since I'm up, I will actually be there. I will see you. We haven't talked to you. I haven't talked to you in an age. But anyway, I guess to cut to the chase. So science is, it's not faith-based because it is based on observation. It is based on prediction. It is based on stuff on physical reality, on things that we can see around us. So it's not something you can take. You have to take on faith. Yeah, as I just pointed out, there are certain limitations. Don't have the expertise. You don't have the money. You don't have the inclination. But that doesn't change the fact that you can do these experiments, look up this research, and go from there. The problem that I have with people banding about faith, calling it a faith or whatever, is that I find faith to be more precious than that. And this is why I have a problem with Christians who basically are out there trying to convince people that God is a thing. And this is something that I'm in conflict with, because I know what the Bible teaches us, and I know that we are called to being evangelical. We are called to share the good word. And I don't know how to do that, because every approach that I've seen, and every approach that I've seen, basically, or any approach that I can come up with, it's been every approach that I come up with seems judgmental. It seems condescending. And yeah, you're not going to convince anybody of anything with doing that. You're going to insult them. You're going to polarize them against you. So, how to be evangelical without being those things, I don't know how to do. But what I can say is that if I were to ever become evangelical, I would not ever try to prove to you that God exists, because I think that misses the entire point of Christianity. Christianity, one of the cornerstones of Christianity, is faith. You must have faith. And in order to have faith, you cannot have proof. Because if you can prove something, if you can basically make a prediction, you understand kind of the physical relationship behind that prediction, and that prediction always comes true. Where's the faith? There's no risk. There's no risk of being wrong. There's no risk there's no risk of being wrong. There's no risk of failure. And I think with Christianity, there has to be that risk. Because, our faith tells us to do certain things which are seeming to be contrary to our own survival, our own physical survival. Turn the other cheek, that sort of thing. If you take a very, very, I hate to use the word literal, but if you really take a very strong position on the nonviolence aspect of this, of the nonviolence aspect of Christianity, then the Bible is telling you, basically, let people kill you if they want to kill you. So it's asking, our faith asks us a lot of things that are contrary to what we want, what we would think is in our best interest. And so, but that's the point, is that we must have this faith. We must have this faith to be able to give up those potential self-interests, that sort of thing, to do it. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm preaching, and I don't want to seem like I'm preaching. My point is, to me, faith is very, very special. It is not something to be bandied about. And to try to prove the existence of God is to steal that away, is to steal that specialness away. Because again, if I have faith that God exists, and and there's an afterlife, and I have absolute proof that God exists, that there is an afterlife, and all that kind of good stuff, then what's preventing me from martyring myself? I mean, and why am I martyring myself? Why would I do that? Because before, I would do it because I have faith that I'm doing something profound. I have faith that I'm doing something good. But if I know I get a reward for it, then I don't know. I don't have the words to really describe it. It takes the altruism away. It takes the selflessness of it out of it. And so it bothers me to a very, very core level when preachers, when anyone tries to tell me that God is real and I have proof of it. We have proof of God being real. No, you don't. You might have a personal relationship with a divine person or divine individual. I know I do. I can't prove it. I don't want to prove it. I don't have to prove it. Because that's not the point. The point is I have faith in it. And that quality of it is why faith and why religion religion and science are fundamentally different. In that, as a scientist, if I put forward something, I have to show that this is real, or at least this is real to our best understanding. it's basically just two divergent paths where with in my faith, the not knowing, the not proving is kind of the point, is kind of what makes it so special to me. Whereas in science, to be able to show it, to be able to show that yes, the Big Bang is our best explanation for things. To be able to show that to folks, to be able to show the truth of it, the validity of it, that is what happens. That's what makes science special to me. Um, and so, if there are any flat earthers out there watching, or if there are flat earthers out there who see this at some point, um, and you are a flat earther because of the rapid expansion, if you are a flat earther because of God, because of your belief in God, or your belief that we nefarious scientists are trying to get rid of God or hide God or whatever, I really, really hope that you question that, because that just ain't true in any way whatsoever. And if you're trying to, and if you think that, and if you think that scientists are basically saying that there is only science, and there are folks who do believe that. One of them is Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is one of the reasons I do not appreciate the man, do not like anything that he says, because he's kind of a pedantic dick. Yes, Neil, if you watch this, that's my feeling. There are folks that say that, and I treat them. I put them in the same camp as Bible literalists. You are fundamental. You have a fundamental dogmatic belief, and I don't want to listen to you. If you reject the idea that there can be anything beyond what science says, then I have to question your motives. I have to question your honesty, because yeah, that's another thing entirely, I guess. But if there are flat earthers out there, I applaud if you are honestly trying to go to an objective truth. I do believe that there is one out there, but I don't believe that science is going to get you there. Well, I don't think science is necessarily going to get you there, because it really depends on what you want from that truth. If you want the truth, if you were looking at the truth to figure out exactly who we are and why we're in this universe and what this universe can tell us, then having a basic physical understanding of what the universe, how it's described, I think is helpful. I think it's vital, really. But I think you have to go beyond that. I think you have to go to religion. I think you have to go to philosophy, to understand that physical truth. And which is to say that, I also see, particularly with that stream, the gentleman was saying, Tribune was saying, I get that. I get what you're saying, science, but I reject it. I don't believe it. You make good points, but I don't believe it. There's a block there. And he talked, and science pointed it out. There is a bias there with him. There is a block that simply refuses to accept the fact that scientists, the mainstream scientists, may be onto something. They may, we are actually telling you the truth. They don't want to believe that for some reason, which I really, really want to understand why that is the case. And there was something very profound that I was going to say about that, but I cannot connect it. Or I've lost the connection. Like I said, brain fog is a thing. So, and the idea, it seems like they have, I don't know, maybe is it that they have an idea of what truth should be? Is that they should have a truth that says that we are significant, that we are special in the universe. And when they look at the Big Bang Theory, or they look at the heliocentric model, which don't get me started on that, they look at a dust mote floating in a void. And they look at that and they say, obviously that's trying to tell us that we don't mean shit. No, that's not what it's telling you. That is your interpretation of what science is saying. Science never says that, because that is a judgment. Science does not judge. Science simply is. It lays out a physical description of things. It makes no judgment as to whether or not you should drop a bomb. All science does is say that if you split an atom, you're going to create a whole lot of energy. But it doesn't tell you that it's a good thing or bad thing to do it. It just tells you that you can do it. It can be done. So if your rejection of science is because you feel that it is judging you as being insignificant, if you feel that science is telling you that you are not worth anything, that you are basically an accident, a cosmic accident, or that because you evolved from apes, which you didn't, or a rock, which you didn't. Michelle really should not have said what she said, but whatever. I mean, if you look at that and you basically say, all right, that's basically telling me that really anything, then really don't. Because, like I said, science is not being judgmental. And, find your truth somewhere else. Find it in philosophy. Find it in the Bible. Because when it comes to judgment, when it comes to who we are as a species, who we are as an individual, and what is our purpose in life, what are these connections that we have with other folks, what is these connections that we have with divine beings that we believe in. Science is not going to tell you that. It's not going to say anything about that. That is where you need religion. That is where you need philosophy. Fuck, that's where you need music. That's where you need art. Is in those things. That is where you're going to find your significance. You're not going to find your significance in science. Whether or not the Earth is a floating dust mote in space, or whether it's on the back of four elephants, or the pillars of Sheol, or whatever the hell it is, it's not going to tell you that you are a significant human being, because it's just not built that way. That is not the truth that science is seeking. All right. I think that's all. I think that's all. All I wanted to ramble on about. God, I'm long-winded. Fuck, I went at this for basically an hour. I get. Phil. I get the feeling of not being significant, or that insignificant feeling. Science has never told me that. I don't get it from science. I get it from, life. I get it from everything else, everything else around me. But I get it. I get that, I get that feeling of being worthless. I find it every day. And, what is my purpose in life? And I question that every day. It's kind of like with my YouTube channel. Like, what is the purpose of my YouTube channel? Is my purpose to educate? Is my purpose just to put out educational videos and hopefully people receive them and want to watch them, receive them, think they're good, want to come back for more? Do I go the route of being a debunker and getting into the nitty gritties of one particular argument. Uh, that seems to get a lot more subs than what I'm doing, but is it what I want? Is it what I would that make me feel better? Would that make me feel more significant? I don't know. I don't think so. That's why I don't do it. Is my purpose to, do I want this channel to be me airing my bullshit theories on life, my armchair philosophy? Is that why I want to do this? Do I want to be some kind of sanctimonious asshole who basically tells people how life is? I don't know. I'm afraid that's how I come off, but I don't know. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my. I think I do. I think it's to be an educator. I think it's to be, but is to show enlightenment, and not just in astronomy, but in other aspects of life. But I kind of get that. That's kind of where the impotent feeling comes in lately. Coming in late, one of the reasons why I started this is that lately I've been feeling very meanish, and I think that comes from a lack of feeling significant, of feeling like I'm actually making a difference anywhere whatsoever. And I don't know. Being an educator, is that sufficient? Is that sufficient to keep going? I don't know. Yeah, and I think people should have, or yes, I actually don't think that there is simply, if you have one purpose in life, again, not be judgmental. If you have one purpose in life and that is something for you, that makes you happy, that gets you, that fulfills you, great. But I would think that there are at least some folks who have multiple purposes. They feel that their life is not only do they have a professional purpose, but they have a social purpose. I mean, a lot of folks have families, that sort of thing. I don't, but others do. God, I really hope this doesn't devolve into a pity party. I don't know. So, yeah, I definitely have questions. I mean, I also feel guilty. I guess this is the former Catholic in me, for not, they tell me that God should fill me up and be enough, basically be my manna, be my, the bread and fishes and all that kind of good shit. No, it's not, and I feel guilty about that. I don't, that God's love is not sufficient. And I don't know, I could go off on that, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, see, Nimrod, when it comes to the size of the universe and existence, I actually am of the very, very firm opinion that, to me, what evolution tells us, what cosmology tells us, if I were to take that and make a judgment from it, it tells me that I am very significant. I am absolutely significant, because I'm the only one there is. The human race is the only one there is. And why I don't go into the whole intelligent design thing and say that the intelligent design thing and say that everything is pure chance, and basically someone had to engineer things in order for us to exist. I don't buy into that, but I do know that there is enough chaos, I know that I'm ignorant enough that, and I guess maybe it's my ignorance that gives me this, is that I don't know what it takes to make us. I don't know what it took. Is human life predetermined? And in that sense, I don't know whether that would kind of blow my significant argument out of the window. I mean, is it predetermined? I don't think so. So therefore, there had to be some manner of chance into this. And if that's the case, then the fact that we are here at all is mind-boggling significant, but given the immense scope of the universe, both in space and time. I just, Phil, I get that. I get that. Yeah, the success of my students. The problem I have, and this is actually kind of tied into my uh, my scientific nature, is that um, whereas I don't know where the evidence is for because once a student takes my class, you um, I can sometimes get an immediate feedback. Some come to me and say, "Hey, your class was awesome. You opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I like that's fantastic. That I have a great day. If someone tells me that, I have a great day for the rest of it. I also know from my rate my professor that a lot of my students don't appreciate my classes and don't think that I'm a very good professor. But in either case, and then there's the wealth of people that I have no idea how they feel about it. But I don't see these folks afterward. I don't see these folks the next year or the next 5 years or 10 years or what have you. I don't know ultimately how much impact I had on them, what my teaching did. Even the ones that hated my class, maybe they later in life something happens and they like, oh wait a minute, Dr. Parks was saying something about that, and that makes sense. I don't know what kind of impact I have. I don't have the evidence for it. And instead of having the faith to just acknowledge that, hey, I am making a difference in someone's life, I don't. And which also just, I can go down this rabbit hole for a while, is that it's kind of like a flat earther in that, if you were to present to me a method via which I could get that evidence, I'm going to reject it because that's just who I am. That's just who I is. But yeah, I get that. That's, as I was saying before, one of the best feelings in existence for me is when I can see it happening in real time. When I'm teaching, and I can see it in their eyes, and I can see the nods, and I can see the, not really smiles, but the look of, yeah, I'm with you. I get that. I get that. Particularly if it's something that I think has been a bit of a challenge for me to communicate. I really loved it when I was teaching physics to MCAT students. When they were like, aha, that's how those equations come together. It's mind blowing. It's just, oh my God, I can't, nothing really else compares to it. Well, the only other thing that compares to it is, like I said, when a bit of code of mine works and it gives me results that are like, wow, this is something that no one else has ever seen before. When I did my work on star spots, when I came up with the basically the final results, I'm like, no one else on the planet knows this. I am the only one who knows this and has evidence, strong evidence to say that the phenomenon we're seeing with the dipping of photometry are not conclusively. Again, we don't prove anything, but these are direct measurements of star spots that have been previously inferred from other measurements. I am the only one who knows this. And yeah, it's, oh my God, I cannot describe how fucking cool that is. So yeah, that also is awesome when you can do that. We just cannot be the only life in the universe because even the lottery has better odds. Yeah, I in my last lecture, I talked about that a little bit. I think I was talking about aliens, and do I believe that aliens exist, or do I believe that there's life outside of the Earth? Yes, undoubtedly. Pretty sure there has to be. I think that life is a ubiquitous natural process. How common is it? No idea. How common is it for it to progress? No idea. But what I am very pessimistic about is whether or not there is intelligent life which is concurrently happening with our own. I don't think that's the case. I think that I'm with Fermi in the sense that if there was, we would have seen evidence of it by now. But that is also not to say that intelligent life has not existed in the past. The universe is really old. So intelligent life may have existed in the past and have whatever reason just died out. Will there be intelligent life beyond the lifespan of human existence? Yeah, I'm on board with that. Is there intelligent life in Andromeda? Sure. Okay, I'm good with that too. But yeah, that's awesome, Nimrod. That's awesome. It's one of the things that I miss, I guess. I elected not to have kids. That was a conscious decision on my part, and the thing I regret, not regret, the cost of that. I think one of the costs I see from that is I don't get to do that. I don't get that. I will never know what it is to teach my kid something and see that light in their eye go off. I'll never know that. Okay. So far, Phil, I try to do that myself. I try to talk to them. I try to connect with them. I have not had them often come back. So, although honestly, I've been moving around a lot, so I'm kind of a journeyman when it comes to use a sports analogy. I'm kind of a journeyman quarterback. I've played for a lot of teams, so maybe that's the case. I don't know. So. Yes, there are far too way in respect. Yeah, and I agree. If there are intelligent life, I think they are fairly distant in either space or time. But yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you guys. This is good. This has helped. I will be lecturing later today. I will be going live at noon my time, 8, which makes that 5 UTC. I hope I didn't mess that up on my YouTube YouTube post. So noon my time, 5 UTC, 5 p.m. UTC. I think I will be talking about the night sky, constellations. I won't be talking about celestial navigation, but I will be talking about the celestial sphere. What is the celestial equator? What is the ecliptic? Why do stars seem to change on a daily basis, on a yearly basis, that sort of thing? And I will also be talking about what did the ancient Greeks and Romans think about astronomy, or about our position and our place, our physical place in the world around us. So, did they believe at any time that the Earth was a flat, stationary object in space? Spoiler alert, they did believe one of those was true. But you'll have to watch in order to figure out which one it is, whether it was flat or stationary. I'll have to stay tuned. Happy accident. Nice. Both missed half the pregnancy. Well, I don't think she exactly missed half the pregnancy. She may not have known what was happening or that it was a pregnancy, but I'm pretty sure she didn't miss being pregnant at any point. I appreciate that, Norm. I do. I don't know. Tonight I felt like basically just spouting off. But I don't know. It's hard to talk about self-worth, mental health, that sort of shit. I wish it weren't the case. I certainly have talked about it. I've certainly talked about it online. I think, really, she didn't have any signs of early pregnancy. Apparently, from my understanding, she is blessed. Because I have some friends who basically at the very beginning, they were getting pounded by just vomiting or just unreal unpleasant shit that's tied to pregnancy. So Nimrod, no spoilers. Damn it. I think, and maybe this is me being too sensitive, but I think I got a "you people" comment from Bev about my mental illness. I asked him. I pointedly asked him, "What does he mean by people like you?" So, because he could be meaning scientists, whatever. But it would be weird if it were a "you people" comment about mental health, because I'm a straight white dude. I'm not supposed to get "you people" comments. But yeah, it's difficult to talk about mental health. Because one, at least from my perspective, it often can sound like a pity party. It can often, and it's often, at least for me, because I'm the one relating, and I'm the one I am the commonality in any conversation that I have about mental health. It gets repetitive. I remember my last therapist, I think. This is a problem you have with therapists, particularly if you move a lot and you get new ones, is that you have to tell the same origin story over and over again. And I'm sure people can relate to this. How many times can you watch Batman's parents get murdered before you get bored of it? How many times can I tell the same stories about my trauma over and over again before it bores the shit out of even me? And it's like, and this is trauma. I just, Judy, I imagine. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I did. Probably have all seen it. I did a video encouraging people to speak out about mental health, and I do agree with it. Obviously, I do quite a bit. I wonder if I do it too often, too much, but who knows? But yeah, I don't know. What's going on with y'all? Reason, are you streaming today? I know you used to. I know I'd forgotten. I was thinking it was Flipside, but it's Flipside's on Sundays. But you used to stream on Saturdays. I don't know if you still do, but I don't know if I don't know if Jeff is still watching. Yeah. See, that's one of the problems that I have with the current. I don't know where you're from. I don't know what country you live in, but in the States, and just from anecdotal evidence, I actually have to say that surprisingly, the States are better at mental health treatment than other places that I've heard about. Again, all anecdotal evidence, but I was frankly surprised by that. Although that has changed quite a bit because of the Rona. Um, I think that has. I think that the mental health infrastructure in this country, surprise, surprise. Oh, you'll start next week. Okay, all right. Well then, I will try to be up for that. Yeah, the mental health infrastructure in this country broke when the Rona happened, and people went into lockdown and isolated and all that kind of good shit. Which I guess is good because that means that a lot of people were willing to actually go to therapy and accept it as a valid form of self care, basically of medical care, which it is. But yeah, just so wait times nowadays are redonkulous, and yeah, there's just not enough people. And there's just not enough therapists out there. So that's one of the problems I have with mental health in this country is that there are not enough outlets for discussing mental health problems. Sure, there are hotlines. You could call hotlines, but to be blunt, those are not to discuss your mental health problems. Those are to determine whether or not you get your ass thrown in a hospital. That's it. That's really all they care about. That's really all they're trained to do. I know this from personal experience. So if I'm feeling like shit, for example, and I'm low, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, I know there are people online that I can reach out to and all that kind of good stuff. I know that, but I don't want to put that on friends. Not particularly the number of times that I get low, I do not want to put that on people. What I want is for me to be able to call a therapist or something and just have a chat. Just basically be like, "Hey, I'm low. Can you talk me out of it? Can you get me to the point where I'm on an upward trajectory rather than a downward trajectory?" There isn't that. There isn't that in this country. There aren't emotional support groups that you can find like at church or whatever, like AA meetings, for example. There is Emotions Anonymous, but it's so woefully underpopulated that I think the closest one to me that I can find is in the middle of state. I'd have to drive 2-3 hours to get to it every day for every meeting. Like, well, that's pretty much prohibitive. Would I consider joining a Big Brother program to help? I have considered that actually. I have considered that. Unfortunately, my self-esteem always gets in the way of that. Because the immediate thing that goes off in my head is, who the hell am I to be a positive role model on anyone? So yeah, I have considered it, but the sort of the catch-22 of that is, I would be afraid that I would mess them up even more than they are. So, yeah, I have very much struggled with that one. About feeling that my mental health, talking about mental health and reaching out to people about mental health is selfish. And I've come a long way with it, because when I was younger, I thought, oh shit, this is very, very selfish. This is foreboding. When I was growing up, my parents were of the ilk of, you don't talk about this shit. Mental illness is a character flaw, and you just have to work to build your character up. It's something that you got to fix by yourself. And I had that mentality for a very long time, and it took me a very long time to break out of that, at least to some degree. But I still have it, and again, it's because I don't want to be one of these folks that talks about the same problem over and over and over again without doing or without progressing, because it just, again, one, it gets boring, and two, I feel like there's only a certain amount of, because we're all human, I think that there's only a certain amount of that we can take from our friends before we honestly get tired of it. I don't think that, I think that if you had someone that came to you and basically was complaining about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, without seeming to fix it or even try to fix it, uh, maybe that's me being a horrible person. But I would think that I would probably get a little tired of it. But yeah, I hope so. I hope it's healthy and not self-indulgent. But yeah, I don't know. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I know, and at a certain point, it actually kind of doesn't help, and I'll tell you why. In the sense that it pains me to know that there are people out there in my situation. I don't want people to feel this way, and knowing that other people are suffering doesn't make me feel better. But I do appreciate the sentiment. I know that what you're trying to say. But so I was thinking, yeah, bottling it up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Yeah. Um, I did buy this mug specifically because of mental health. It says it's official. You're awesome. So I don't usually buy into affirmations and all that kind of good stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to drink this mug, and I'm going to drink it when I'm left-handed. So I'm going to drink it with this out so that other people can see me drinking it and know it's official. They're awesome. So who knows? Yeah, I appreciate that, Phil. And that's the insidious thing about mental illness. And I know I'm not being profound when I say this, is that with, at least with bipolar and borderline, what I can say from my personal experience is that there are times when I can't trust my own mind. My mind tells me things that objectively I know are not true. And I hate that. I hate that. Mainly because, people will basically use that against me and say, you need to be regulated, or you need to be handled in a certain way because you can't trust your own thoughts. But that's also another topic. But yeah, no, and the it's hard. It's hard to battle your own. It's hard to battle your own mind, because even, well, one, you have to be cognizant of the fact that your mind is lying to you. Two, you have to be cognizant of the fact that, well, one, you have to be cognizant of the fact that your mind can or has lied to you. You have to be cognizant of the fact in the moment that your mind is lying to you. And then, even if you have that realization, how do you fight your own mind? Because there, I do. I've learned a lot about CBT. I do use cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, as much as I can. Um, and it's all about challenging thoughts. And it's all about, you know, well, it's all about recognizing thoughts, recognizing generalizations of what your thoughts are doing and how you can back them and all kind of good stuff. But, um, but I know my mind knows I'm using this technique to fight those negative thoughts. And it says, well, you don't know what you're saying is true. You're just saying it because you think that'll make you feel better. It doesn't make it objectively true. So it's, I know that it's hard to fight something when I know that that's not making any sense whatsoever. Maybe someone, maybe someone can parse that and figure out what I'm trying to say. With that is that when like for the best example is that with aphorism. If I sit there and be like, gosh darn it, I'm good enough. My immediate reaction is no, I'm not. And the only reason you're telling me that is because someone else told you to tell me that to make yourself feel better. So I know the score. I know what's going on. So I had a hallucination about it once a year. Caesar meds. Thankfully, I don't have seizures. Yeah. I've never really had hallucinations as far as I know. Not real ones anyway. So thankfully for that, but it's more of, the lying part of it is you have, like, for instance, one of the things that CBT tells you is that, you can people or a person can engage in all or nothing thinking. Or is it future telling? I don't know. Basically, the idea is, you've done something wrong. You've done something objectively wrong. Like, for example, I think one of a lecture or two ago, I messed up on my slides. I'm pretty sure I got certain information wrong. And so the fallacy, the deception is, I take that piece of objectively true knowledge, and then I generalize. That might be it. That's the fallacy, is generalization. You generalize it to basically say, well, you're never right. You were always wrong. And so why should anyone believe anything you ever have to say? So, it. So that's how my brain lies to me, or is deceptive. Is that those, all or nothing? Either I get this right or my entire career fails. Either I get this lecture right or I'm going to get fired and my career is over. Mind reading, such as I feel like I was meanish on that stream, and so now everyone thinks I'm an asshole. Lots of different shit, lots of different deceptions. What is going on here? Absolutely. I've done shrooms several times, and I've actually, kind of on a tangent, I've done my share of acid. I've never actually had a hallucination. Well, no, I had one hallucination on acid, and that had to do with Elvis, but I've never had one. Yeah. Yeah, I have huge problem with that. I know I don't know if this is exactly where you're going with this, but there in the therapy that I've been in, there is this huge component of surrender, of um, accepting things as they are without judgment, and that requires a certain amount of surrender because it is very hard not to be judgmental. It is exceedingly hard in my experience. It is exceedingly hard not to place a judgment on everything. Um, and you have to learn how to surrender that arrogance, that that feeling that you have the right, or that it is best for you to judge something in a certain at all, let alone in a certain way. Um, yeah, and I have a real hard time with that surrender part of it because, and it kind of gets into another thing, and I'm going to be closing this down pretty quick, but um, one of the things that I've always been kind of fascinated about with with low self esteem, at least, is at least in my experience with myself and my experience with other people in groups and things of that nature, is that arrogance is very much coupled with low self esteem. Is that, at least for me, in the past and maybe still now, I have used arrogance as a protection mechanism. I have basically said no. I feel like I'm a worthless piece of shit, but on the outside, I'm like, no, I am this authority. I am right. I am everything I say is good and um, is good and gospel. And yeah, I guess it's not that crazy, um, but it's you know that you would use arrogance as a defense mechanism against having low or pretty much no self-esteem whatsoever. Um, Basically trying to cover that deficit, to basically shield, to hide that deficit, perceived deficit from other people. And the sort of the easiest way to do that is take the opposite tact, is to just over aggrandize yourself, is make yourself seem way more important, way cooler than you actually feel. Uh, I don't know what dyscalculia. Okay, is that like dyslexia with numbers? I'm assuming that's what that is. Dyscalculia, but I could be wrong. Could be very wrong. Um, yeah. I fully respect that approach, and because I can't do it, or haven't really been able to do it, is you see something, you see that you have a deficit for some reason, and you work doubly hard to fix it, and you succeed at it. Um, yeah, I often wish I had that kind of um, composure to do that, but it's real hard. And this is the question, or this is the bitch of it that I can't seem to. Um, uh, this is the question that I never gotten an answer for. Is uh, if I, my mindset, my default for a lot for good chunk of things, is that I am a worthless human being, not capable of anything. But therapy is telling me that, that's a lie. That's objectively not true. And they're like, here, have some stuff, have some techniques to fight that, to battle it. Where is my motivation to do so? If I feel that I'm worthless, why would I think that anything that I do to combat my illness is going to work? And from an intellectual standpoint, I mean, I know that that's telling me that it's lying to me, that I can't trust that part of my brain that basically that tells me my worth is nothing, and tells me that regardless of that, anything that I try is going to fail. Objectively, intellectually, I know it. Emotionally, motivationally, there's a disconnect. There is, and that's the question. That's the fucking bitch about it. Is how do you fix that? How do you fix that disconnect? Because I know, CBT, I know DBT, I know coping mechanisms out my ass. But why should I apply them if I don't think that I'm worth a shit? So that I think is that's the question that I have that I can't fucking find an answer to. But anyway, I've been going at this for hour and 37 minutes. I am astonished and honored that you all are here and you all have watched with me. Norm, you've been here from basically the beginning. That you've all hung out and done this for me. Yeah, I've thought about that. I've thought about that, particularly in terms of I get really horrible anxiety, which nobody really wants to prescribe anything for me to me for that, because it's a narcotic, yada yada. Thank you, Nimrod. Loving you too. And I've thought about it. I thought about doing edibles for sleep and for anxiety, and I just can't seem to go that route. I don't know why. I am paranoid. One of the things I am proud of. One of the things. Oh, and I won't smoke it because it gives me a fucking headache. It's not my drug of choice. I am much more about LSD than I am about weed. Yeah. Anyway, drugs are bad, kids. Stay in school. One of the few things I'm actually very proud of is that I have known a great many people in my situation who feel as I do, who've had the traumas that I've had, and they've become raging alcoholics. I'm not judging them for it, but what I've seen is that they become alcoholics, and that has added to the shit they have to deal with in life. Like, it has only caused problems. It has long since been a useful self-medication or a medicating tool, a coping mechanism. And I'm very proud of the fact that I have not managed to add that complication in my life. And so Yeah, I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid about um, drinking. I'm paranoid about drugs because I'm like, and I know that weed is not addictive. Well, weed is not physically addictive. I do have my own thoughts about that it. I think that it is psychologically addictive, but that's a way different topic entirely. Drugs are bad. Stay in school. Not that I'm not anti weed. I'm not anti drugs, but if you can handle it, great. If it's not a dysfunction in your life, go nuts. Again, drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. Don't do them. If you're my student, don't do them. Drugs are bad. Not sure. Not sure what it is that's fantastic, but probably me being sober. Well, even at this point, I've got I'm on some of my medications. Really don't like it if I drink. Apparently, my liver will explode if I drink more than a beer a week or some shit. I'm like, yeah, that's. I really don't need to add liver dysfunction to my life. I already have enough physical and emotional shit to deal with. I don't need a failing liver to add on to that. But I thought about it. But getting back to that, I thought about self-medicating, as they say. I don't know. I really do need to figure out some way of coping with my anxiety, because my anxiety spikes are one of the things that really gets in my way, is just being terrified of having to do something, the implications of what that is, what that means to my life, the implications of failing that thing, the implications of not doing that thing, all of that shit, all of that running around in my head. It terrifies me, and I have real hard time facing that fear and actually dealing with the problem. And I would really like to have something to be able to take that edge off, because I am pro medication. I don't think it's the end all be all. Well, it might be for some, but I think my attitude is medication is necessary to get you to a point where you can then cope. That's its function. That is the role of medication, is to get you to the point where you are willing and able to use coping mechanisms. It's not going to cure you. It's not going to do anything, but that's it. So yeah, I would really. So my depression meds, I think, do an okay job at that. Actually, to be very honest about that, I've gotten to the point now where I literally had a psychiatrist tell me, "Well, there ain't nothing I can do for you." Well, she didn't say it that way, but what she did say was, "You have done everything. There is nothing I can give to you that you have not already done. There is nothing I can do to help you." That is essentially what she told me. And I gotta say, being a patient, hearing your psychiatrist tell you that, wow, that was a mind fuck. Being told by a medical professional that you are too fucked up to treat. Wow, did that suck. But anyway, what I'm saying is, my depression meds get me to a certain level where I can cope. Anxiety, that's what I need. I need to get up there. But, oh shit. Yeah. It's, for me, it's not pain meds, but it's I have severe psoriasis, which is reasonably under control with one med. And now I've got psoriatic arthritis. And so I'm now on methotrexate, and that's the one that really would kill me, kill my liver. Plus the fact that you're not supposed to drink on psych meds. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't drink on psych meds. It is really not a great idea to do. It lowers the shit out of your tolerance, though. You become a real easy drunk on psych meds. But don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, migraines. My mother used to get migraines. God, thank God I didn't inherit that. Fuck migraines. I've never had one, but oh no. Got a whoa. Hopefully I did. Oh, yes. I am a cheap date. I completely own that. I also own that I used to be a man whore. I own that till the cows come home. So yes, I'm a cheap date. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Can't drink anymore. Yeah. Oh shit. I don't have epilepsy, thank God. Because I don't know if I could. Don't know how I could handle that. I don't know if I could handle that. So, oh yeah. So thankfully, yes, I am very glad I don't have epilepsy or migraines. I've heard about them. I've known folks that have them, and do not want that at all. And I really wish you guys didn't have that at all. I wish we could all drink. That would be nice. I could finish off my bottles of gin and my bottle of whiskey. But no, sadly not. I am allowing myself one whiskey a week. I am when I game. I have a regular D&D game. And so I'm like, all right, during a game, I'll have a whiskey. And that's it. I like I said, I am. It befuddles me. It befuddles me and honors me that that people watch this. That people come on this journey with me. Phil, yes, but it humbles me that people do this, and it's just I love it. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Phil, I am. Yes, I was not to get into it, but I was, shall we say, I was emotionally abused as a child, and so I decided, for whatever reason, that I'm just going to continue to do it as an adult, because damn it, that's how it's been done. It's always how it's been done. So, my parents aren't here anymore, so I've got to pick up the slack and beat the shit out of myself emotionally every day. So, so that's kind of an understatement that I am my own private bully. So, I dated somebody with epilepsy, and she had a grand mal, and that was obviously that sucked for her, and but it was disturbing to watch. It put a lot of things in perspective when it came to folks with epilepsy. Is seeing what happens and seeing what she was like when she came out of it. And I'm like, I don't know how you managed that. Managed to do that. I think I got called Professor. I think I got called cerebral up here. Yes. Actually, that's kind of why I had to leave the psychotropics, the LSD behind, is because, yeah, uh, being way intellectual or being cerebral, as it were, on that is, for me, wasn't the greatest idea. Um, the depression isn't real if it's been months or years. Yeah. 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 But anyway, um, all right. I think that, again, thank you all for being here. I think I'm going to sign off. Yeah, and I am going to make a concerted effort to be more in more stream, like other people's streams, and just kind of connect with folks, because recently I've been bottlenecked into dealing where or engaging with Bev and his bevy of folks, and that just hasn't been. Uh, yeah, that's. I want to expand my horizons and um, see other people, talk to other people. So we'll see. All right. Well, as always, love you guys, and peace out, clear skies. And like I said, I'm going to go live again today, talking about the night sky, doing the astronomy thing at noon, or in 4.5 hours from 5.5 hours, 5.5 hours from now. So if you want to learn about the night sky, or if you just want to hear me talk about the night sky, feel free to come out. So, all right. Peace out. Thanks, guys.